Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more.
Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 4, Episode 5, title I Love You, But I've Chosen Darkness. Air day, air day October 25th, 2006. And the synopsis is
Peyton finally realizes that her brother Derek isn't her real brother, but in fact the very same person that's been sending her online messages using the alias Watch Me Watch You. When she learns this and starts pushing him away, Derek breaks into her house and tries to hurt her. She is saved in the last minute by her real brother Derek and Lucas. In the end, fake Derek disappears after surviving a bad fall through Peyton's window. So Lucas is with Karen in the waiting room at the doctor's.
this was cute.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that he was wanting to be there like Keith would have.
Right.
And she was so funny because she's like, "You're making me nervous."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he was nervous.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, would Keith be here?" And she's like, "Yeah, probably."
Mm-hmm.
It's just so cute, but it's also like when she said, get to school, I was like, well, obviously,
Yeah.
like that's where he needs to, like he's missing his senior year
Mm-hmm.
to go to his mom's doctor's appointments.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he wants to be there for her. And then, so yeah, he's walking towards the exit when he sees a girl who looks like Peyton from behind.
Yep, from the last episode, that girl.
Mm-hmm. So,
So what did he do to her leg?
Doesn't Lucas or Peyton, I think, mention like she was stabbed or looked like she was stabbed?
I don't know, because I remember he just tells Peyton like, does Derek know that you were shot, like what leg, and that you were shot and stuff,
mm-hmm.
and like what it looks like or something. Like that's what he said. So I'm just like, so what did he do to this girl, this poor girl? Like what?
Yeah, just try to make her look like Peyton in every way.
Yeah, but he clearly physically did something to her, and I just was it threw me off because I'm like, what did he do? Cut her?
Maybe, yeah.
And then beat her up because she had bruises all over her face.
Yeah.
And then of course he recognizes the jacket. And then he says like, that's my friend's jacket. And then he's asking her questions like, who did this to you? Because he wants her to say Derek.
Mm-hmm.
And she just throws him the jacket, like, take it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, okay, why would Derek, if he's so in love with Peyton, why would he give that girl the jacket?
Yeah, I'm thinking she must have ran off with it and he didn't catch her. So
like, wouldn't that be like one of the first things he does is like, hey, give me back the jacket? Like, because he's a jerk. So I just feel like that's something he would say of like, I don't care that you're beat up. Give me back my jacket.
Yeah, we don't know. I'm guessing, like I said, she probably ran away and he couldn't get her to get the jacket back. So
because that kind of just threw me off. I'm like, she walked off with the jacket. Like, but he's a psycho. Like, I could see him like really like going after her just for the jacket. So it was kind of weird. And it was kind of weird too that he would let her wear it because then her smell is on it and Peyton's isn't anymore.
Right. Yeah. I guess he didn't think of that.
Because you would think that you would want to keep smelling her jacket if you're so obsessed with her. And that's what was odd too.
Yeah. And then at the apartment, Nathan gets a call finding out he has a full scholarship for basketball. And then he tells Haley he's going to Duke and he's smiling all big.
And she says, I'm pregnant.
Now,
why would she say it in this moment?
Just because she's, I guess, figured this was her last moment to say something now, which, was a bit too late.
Like, she has had plenty of time to tell him. Anytime before this moment.
Yeah.
And she knew that those scholarships would be coming out soon.
Mhm.
So why would she say it here? And like ruin his moment. Like, because it clearly did.
Right.
I didn't like it because I'm like, she had all that time in the world to
Mhm.
say it.
Yeah,
There
she
was
says.
no congratulations. You got into
Mhm.
Duke because that's
Yeah.
huge.
Mhm.
I'm pregnant. It's basically here's a chance to ruin your life.
Mhm. Yeah, she said she knew for a few weeks, so
I know that was like hard to watch when he asked her how long has she
Mhm.
known, and she said a few weeks. But I will say, like, I didn't like the moment that she did it, obviously. But
Mhm.
but w- him knowing a few weeks ago and him finding out today, what is the
Mhm.
difference? How is that going to change your outcome? She's pregnant.
Mhm.
You can't reverse that. I mean, unless you get an abortion. Like,
Mhm.
it's done. So,
Yeah.
knowing a few weeks ago, what was that going to change? You
Maybe.
then saying no to Duke?
Right.
That's the only thing that you could have done. But you can say that right now.
Mhm.
I mean, that's what threw me off because I'm like, a few weeks is not that long.
Mm.
Now, if she said would have said a few months, but it's only a few weeks. So I was like, it's not that big of a deal, Nathan. Maybe she could have said she wanted to wait till she was a little bit further along so she didn't have a miscarriage.
Yeah, but you don't keep that from your husband.
You might.
I mean, as far as I know, most women tell them like right when they know. So
Um, or they pee in the stick with them there.
yeah, so a few weeks
Um,
seems long to me.
I don't know. I just like, yeah, it was bad timing. She should have told them, but at the same
Mm.
time, I just don't get what the difference is. Like, what would matter if it was 3 weeks ago? Like, yeah, of course she should have told you. It's your life too, but she didn't. So here we are.
Mhm. Well, maybe he would have at least had more time to process it by now. So when the Duke opportunity did come up, he would have more of a clearer head to figure out exactly what he wants to do and not have to like have time to think about it.
Yeah, that could be.
So, hmm
And then of course, storms out.
yeah, because she
Which
just wants to know what he's thinking, but he can't deal with it right now.
I mean, um, I feel like anybody probably would storm out.
Hmm
Also, do they really have a press conference the day of they get a call about the scholarship?
Yeah, and I was wondering why Nathan? Like, what about the other players like that got scholarships? Like,
Just said, why
why is
Nathan?
I mean, it's just him. Is it just because he's the mayor's son or the
Well, yeah, it's at the mayor's office that he
it,
does his press conference.
yeah, it just seems really extra just because it's just him. Like I said,
No,
if it was like
I think it's because he got the full ride.
and that never happened before in Tree Hill or
I think the last person was probably Dan Scott.
yeah.
Well, Tree Hill is supposed to be a small town, so in small towns, things like this don't happen every day.
Hmm
So I think that's probably what it was. Plus, on the team, the one that they always say is number one and the best is Nathan.
Right.
So, and I think maybe because he went over the summer to the High Flyers, maybe that helped him with the scouts
hmm
be more recognized. And
Right.
also, Dan has a pull in this too.
hmm
Always
Yeah.
has.
Right.
Um, so that threw me off. I'm like, you get a call that you got the scholarship and you're supposed to say it that same day, just a couple hours later that
hmm
you accepted.
Yeah, or not.
Uh, but I feel like in real life they would give you a couple days at least.
Hmm
I can't imagine like a school being like, we're accepting and you only have 5 hours
Right.
and you need to make a press conference.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like kids that, I mean, think about it. Kids that know and they play sports or something, they always have, remember, like on the table, they always have like the hats that have given them scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
They always have like different hats of like whatever school. And then they pick up the one that they're going to.
Mm-hmm.
And then they make their like that's how they're making their conference. And I'm like, so he can't wait at any other school to give him a scholarship. He has to pick Duke right now.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he? Like, you're supposed to wait to see what other ones there are and then decide and then do your press conference. Not be like, well, Duke called. I got to say it today. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
I've never really seen that. Like when you watch videos and stuff, I've never really seen that happen where they have to make that decision right then and there. Because again, you're always waiting for other schools. Other schools are not probably going to give you the answer that same day.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to wait a couple days at least to get more schools.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is probably like the only one he really applied to. I mean, it seemed like he was applying to more, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the only one he can get into.
Right.
Because whatever happened to Stanford?
I don't know.
Remember when
Maybe
he
he did
told
apply. Yeah.
when he told Whitey, like, can you put a good word in for me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wonder what happened to that.
Maybe he didn't get in.
Must not.
Yeah. So then Lucas gets to school and sees Peyton, and he gives her jacket and says he found it. And she checks the pocket, where she kept the picture of her and Ellie, but it's gone. So she asks Lucas where he found it, and he said, if Derek knows about her scar. And she says, yeah, why? And he says, because the girl in the hospital, she was bleeding in the same place that she was shot in the leg. And Payne says, creepy and weird, but what does that have to do with Derek? And he says,
Oh, so I agree. Okay, I have a question though.
mm-hmm.
So he brings up how when Derek hugged her, he like sniffed her.
Mm-hmm.
How and Peyton like kind of like slaps Lucas like no. Okay, if somebody like touches your hair,
Mm-hmm.
right? You feel it. How do you not?
Yeah, I don't know.
If somebody hugs you and they grab your head or something,
Mm-hmm.
you feel that. How did she not feel his head right there?
Right, or hear
How do
him
you
smell
not?
her.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And hear him take a deep breath. I don't understand how she did not feel this because, again, someone touches your hair, you feel it, let alone sniffing your hair. Because
Mm-hmm.
his head was so right up there in her neck. How did she not feel? Don't tell me she didn't feel that.
Right.
That's not even a brother sister hug.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's just creepy. How did I just don't understand how the girl couldn't feel it. And she's like, "No, didn't do that." What was that then?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wanted Peyton to explain it because I didn't understand it.
Right. Yeah, so Lucas is, connecting the dots, but Payne isn't believing him.
Nope.
Yep. And then and then he says that he found her jacket went missing, then ends up on some hooker in the hospital. And she asks him, how does he know that the woman was a hooker? And he says he doesn't know. And she, looks like a hooker. So, Payne says thanks. So then she says to Lucas that she knows that he's jealous of him, Derek. And Lucas stops her there to say that he's not. And Payne says, fine, he's not jealous. So instead of a girl stealing her jacket, he thinks Derek stole it and put on a woman who may or may not be a prostitute and then stabbed her in the leg. So yeah, he could have done a million things. So yeah, Payne just assumed that she was stabbed. But we didn't really even see her leg. We just saw the blood, so you couldn't really tell exactly by the wound what happened. But Payne said that this is important to her, having a family and having Derek, and he's been nothing but good to her. So don't make fun of, make her doubt him. And Lucas just said he's trying to watch out for her, and Payne says she knows and thanks him.
I did.
And
It was funny when she said, "Just be my bodyguard" to English.
yeah.
It was funny.
hmm But then when they're walking, we can see that Derek was watching them from the bridge behind
Wait.
them.
Okay, I have a thing. Has that
Mhm.
bridge always been there?
Yeah.
It has.
Yeah, the last time I remember seeing it was in that dream episode where Nathan was in a coma and everything was switched, and it was Brooke was like on the ground and she was looking at someone on the bridge. I think it might have been Nathan, because then she was going to go after him like she did with Lucas in the first season. So he was on that bridge looking down or walking or jogging past something.
Because I was
So
like, I don't feel like I've ever seen this bridge right there by the school like that. It was just kind of weird.
yeah.
I was like,
And
news to
then
me.
yeah. And then at Rachel, she lights a candle, unbuttons her top, and sits down on the bed waiting for Nathan.
She thinks she's going to seduce him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like this scene, but I hate this scene
Yeah.
because, of course, she's trying to sleep with Nathan.
Yeah.
And so when he walks in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would he sit on her bed? Like, I know she said, like, come here, like, touching the bed. But why would he be dumb enough to go over there? You can
Yeah.
clearly see what she wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand
Mm-hmm.
why you would be dumb enough to do it.
Yeah, and sit down with her.
That's what on her bed though.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want to talk, talk. I
In the
don't
living
understand.
room, yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't get it. Like stand there and talk. Why do you have to sit on the bed?
Mm-hmm.
It's creepy, don't you think?
Yeah.
And then the fact that she's going on about how she thinks that they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
You two are not connected by anything.
Right.
But then of course, he says that Haley's pregnant because she's
Mm-hmm.
getting a little too close.
Yeah.
And then she goes, "You mean Brooke?" And he's like, "No, the rumors were wrong." It's like, didn't Rachel start those rumors?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and then I was thinking too, you just told the wrong one. Because Rachel started the rumors and you just
Mm-hmm.
told the wrong person Haley's pregnant. I mean, I know that same day Brooke outs it, but in this moment, you don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
All you know is you kind of told the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I
yeah.
did like when she got up and blew out the candles and was buttoning her shirt because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for not continuing this.
Right. Yeah, for using her brain for once. And then, he vents to her about saying 10 minutes ago he was close to his dream and knew exactly who he was going to be. So, yeah.
Well, I liked when she said, you're gonna be okay and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
then if somehow he is, have hospital bills, and she's pregnant, and then his dead uncle saved his life. But
Mm-hmm.
but again, I liked her encouraging him by saying like, your parents have money, which they do.
Mm-hmm.
And she said your baby's gonna be beautiful, which in the future we know he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that maybe you were destined for greatness. That's why he saved you. It's like, I like that she said all that because she could have said, different things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, this is the reason why we're together.
Yeah. So I do like how Haley, Peyton, and Rachel were all supportive of Nathan and saying how he saw, Keith in the water since Lucas most likely shut him down about it.
Lucas is like, move on.
Yeah. And then
but then, when he walks out and stuff,
mm-hmm.
then that's when she was like, then I don't get why she goes back to her again. And she's like, if she wasn't pregnant, would I have a chance? And he goes,
Mm-hmm.
not for a second. I'm like, Rachel, are you serious?
Right.
Why?
Yeah, and Haley being pregnant is the only reason why she's stopping now. Like before, it's fair game, even though he's married. So
I know
I
it
don't like
never.
that.
Now all of a sudden, a baby is what's
Mm-hmm.
gonna stop her.
Yeah.
That's odd, but also it's just weird. And you would think too, like given that she wants him, you would think she would say all the wrong things to make him not want to go back to Haley.
Mm-hmm.
So that she can get him.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
Mm-hmm. And then at school, Brooke was about to tell Haley that
But
the rumor
also,
had
when he said
stopped.
that for a second, why was he sitting on her bed then?
Yeah. Yeah, that was poor choice.
Like he ditched Haley to go to Rachel's house in her bedroom. Why?
Yeah.
With candles lit.
Yeah, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
If anything, he should have gone to like Lucas or somebody, his mom or somebody. So.
Well, no, he was going there because remember she wanted to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he went there, because Lucas is saying it's not true about the whole Keith thing. So, yeah.
Well, I meant about Haley. If you want to talk to somebody about her pregnancy.
Yeah, but he only went there because Rachel said that they needed to talk. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just happened to say it.
Mm-hmm. So then at school, Brooke was about to tell Haley that the rumor has to stop, but she sees she's upset, so she asks what's wrong. And Haley tells her that she told Nathan she was pregnant, and he walked out.
I liked when Brooke was like, okay, now that he knows, can I,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, like, can I tell, like, what happens if, like, it just slips out and
Yeah,
stuff?
it wouldn't be bad.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she gets up on the table and just says that she's not pregnant. What
Right.
was it there? Oh, yeah. She said, Haley's got the roast on slow cook, not me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have
Yeah.
a thing about this.
Mm-hmm.
So right after that, everybody whoever's outside comes up to Haley and, clearly congratulating her and stuff. I don't understand, because like we had pregnant girls in our high school.
Mm-hmm.
They were more talked about than they were being congratulated, I feel like.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just because Haley was married,
Yeah,
so
but I
it
still
seems
feel
more
like it wouldn't
acceptable,
matter. She's
quote
still,
unquote.
quote, ruining her life
Mm-hmm.
by having a baby as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Like she
But,
did it once, and now, by getting married,
mm-hmm.
and it led her to a split, and then now a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, like, it threw me off because I'm like, those people in high school, they were definitely more talked about than they were being like, I don't think we ever went up to somebody and said, congratulations, you're having a baby.
Right.
And we weren't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it was like all whispers, so and so's pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you really never know how that person feels either. So you don't want to say congrats if they're not happy about it. Exactly. So.
Well, Haley's look on her face didn't look too thrilled, but
Mm-hmm.
yet everybody's congratulating her like they don't care.
Mm-hmm. I just thought it was funny how she was trying to whisper to Brooke when she was announcing her pregnancy, like as if that would stop Brooke, because she's being so gentle with like whispering, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dan gets a newspaper to see the headline saying Mira kills Big Brother, but then looks at it again, and now it says Mira
Just the
kills
budget.
Big
Yeah,
Budget.
the
Yeah, Big
budget.
Budget. Yeah. And then Peyton gets home to find her front door open. I think this was Lucas's fault for, scaring her like that with that.
Okay, this part.
Yeah.
Why given how Lucas feels about Derek, that he's creepy,
Mm-hmm.
and he's telling Peyton all this stuff,
Yeah.
why would he not call her and say,
Yeah.
hey, heads up, I'm gonna be at your house,
Right. Mm-hmm.
instead of her going in and thinking he's there and he's coming to kill her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, he shouldn't have left the door open like that.
Also, though, I have another thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
If Peyton believes Derek in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
why would she be freaked out?
Just of another person being in her house. So, just in general.
And also, who goes inside their house when it was broken into? Like if
Yeah, that
the
was.
door is
Mm-hmm.
open and you clearly locked it when you left,
Mm-hmm.
why would you go inside?
Yeah, you should call 911 and stay outside. Yeah.
You stay outside and call the police. You don't
Mm-hmm.
go in and then all the
Yeah.
way upstairs where you can be pushed down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing she did wrong, was go upstairs. I'm like, well, great. So now there's steps that you can be pushed
Mm-hmm.
down.
Right.
Great job. And then
Or
she
keep her
doesn't even
upstairs.
she doesn't even call the police when she goes inside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was weird. And then she also What's the other thing that she did or she didn't do?
Well,
I
she
don't know.
didn't. I think she said hello too. Yeah, so that's not good.
Yeah.
Like she was announcing she was there if there was an intruder.
Right. And then obviously you're a female voice.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, Peyton, you're making all the wrong moves right now.
Yeah.
Also, does Lucas have a key to this house?
Yeah, I was gonna say that next. Yeah, I don't know how he got in because we know later he doesn't get in like that. So.
Because I'm like, the fact that he is there before her
Mm-hmm.
was
Right.
weird.
True.
Also, my other thing is, if he did have a key, let's say, why wouldn't he close the door behind him?
Right.
That's what was weird
That's
too.
what I was saying. He should have done that.
So then he doesn't have a key.
Well, no, I
Because
think
why wouldn't you close the door behind you?
I don't know. Maybe he was trying to be quiet in case if Derek was in the house. I don't know.
Yeah, I just wondered about how he got in.
Yeah.
Like, she must have like a key under the mat or something.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore,
Right.
but I feel like maybe she did. And that's how he got in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then, he says something was out of place, so he'll go. And she says, thanks for caring. But then when he walks out of her room, we see that he grabbed the card Ellie wrote to Payne about Derek.
Yep.
And
So
then Rachel.
what did the card say?
Just, I don't think we ever see the full thing, but probably just like about like, you shouldn't, like, I know you don't like letting people in, but you should know that you have a brother or something, and then have the number there, obviously, and his name, and where he lives, because she knew where he lived, but yeah.
But it was funny when when Lucas is like, all right, fine, is in him, and he goes, other than your brother sniffing your hair.
Right.
But I didn't like when he said, maybe I saw wrong. I'm like, come on, Lucas. Like, you got
Right.
brains, you got eyes, you saw what he did. Really,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna now say, maybe I didn't see anything. Oh, come on.
Yeah. I think he's just trying to have Peyton think that, like, he'll let it go, and that's when he's gonna sneak around to try to find out more about Derek. And then Rachel's on her computer at home, signed into Brooke's MySpace profile, what it looks like, and changes her age to 23. And then back at Peyton, she's looking at a picture of her and Derek when she gets an IM from Lucas under the username LukeScott3 saying, hey, with 2 Y's, it's Lucas. So with the double Y's, because that's why I was like paying attention from before, because I knew that had to mean something. I couldn't remember exactly what. Yeah, so the Psycho Derek uses the WY for every word that has the Y in it.
And he's like thinking about her and stuff. And but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when the double Y's come up, then she freaks out kind of. And then that's when she calls Lucas.
Well, she only gets suspicious when he says that, what else? Because she says, what else do you love? And he says, your ass. And that's when she goes and calls Lucas, like, did you just IM me?
And
that was creepy to say.
No, it was funny because she called him a perv,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "What?" And then and then she asks, did you DM me? And he's like, "No." And then I'll talk to you later. It's like, okay, like that's not weird for Lucas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't call back to see what was going on, but she goes back to her computer, closing the lens on her webcam, and checks the mail server.
Which
and that's
she
when
should have
puts it
done all
together.
along, was close the webcam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she sees from the mail server that it was Derek typing the WY. So then she leaves, and then we see Lucas outside of the station. We kind of skip this part because obviously she went to Lucas's to tell him everything, and then so did Peyton stay at his house and then he goes to the station by himself? Wasn't it just him?
Him at the station?
Yeah, at this part.
Right here? Yeah, it was just him because she was at her house.
Well, I thought she went back. She went to Lucas's because she didn't feel safe at her house, maybe.
No, because that he checked her house and everything was good.
No, I'm saying when she saw the IM was the same, that's when she left. She like grabbed her keys and left.
Yeah, she went, I think, to this is where I think she isn't this where she goes to his house?
That's what I'm saying. We don't see her go to his house and he goes to the
No,
station by himself.
Derek's.
Oh, maybe.
This is when she goes to find Derek.
Oh, yeah, she left to go to the motel, right?
And
okay.
Lucas, it's after that. Then she believes Lucas, and then she stays at Lucas's. Yeah.
Okay. You just think that she would have gone to the station with Lucas, is what I'm saying. So.
Well, she didn't know he was at the station because he didn't say where he was.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe they like decided on that together. Okay.
No, because he's trying to remember, he, like you said, he was playing it off as I'm leaving alone, but really he's not.
Yeah, because I just feel like in real life the detective would have wanted to get Payne's statement too, so she would have been in the loop eventually. But yeah.
Yeah, but he did tell the detective, like, he's just worried about his friend. So
yeah,
because maybe Lucas said she doesn't believe me, but I have a weird feeling.
And this detective recognizes Lucas from the shooting too.
And it was and then he brought up how he carried Peyton out, and then right away he knew Peyton Sawyer's name.
Yeah. And because of this, like, this is when the detective says that, he believes in Lucas and saying that this guy, something bad about him.
Yeah, and Lucas like, you don't think Lucas goes, you don't think I sound crazy? And he's like, and he said, well, I didn't say that. he's like, but the look in your eyes says different.
Yeah. And then Dan is in his office when Haley shows up.
Why?
I guess she felt like no one else to talk to.
But why did Karen? Why didn't Haley go to, or why did Haley go to Dan Scott?
Yeah, just because she knows that, they have that basketball thing in common, and she wants to see if, like, how, like, exactly, if Nathan is exactly like Dan, if he might choose the same path that his dad did and choose it over.
But she comes to him trying to, like, get Dan to talk to Nathan. Dan left his son for basketball. He left his pregnant girlfriend for basketball. Do you really think that Dan doesn't regret it? Like, at least Haley doesn't know that he regrets that part. So why would you go to Dan? Like, of all people, like, if you're trying to save your marriage, Dan is not the person you're going to go to.
Yeah, I think she was giving.
He's gonna try everything he can to get Nathan out of it. And so that's what threw me off. I'm like, why would you go to Dan? Like, they don't know that he's a part of him, like, to Karen is trying to get redemption. But a part of him is still trying to sabotage people, clearly.
Yeah, I guess Haley.
Off.
Yeah, I guess Haley's given him the benefit of the doubt, like she did with Nathan, trying to give him a chance and see if he can make the right decision and be a good person and talk to his son about not making the same mistake he did when he was his age. So,
but again, he's good with the mistake that he made.
Yeah.
And it was weird that he was all nice. I'm like, oh, where's the ball? When's it gonna drop? Like, for him to be nasty. Because he was all like comforting, like, congratulations. And then he's too young. He's too young and handsome to be a grandfather.
Yeah, I didn't like that because later on we know that he is not supportive of Nathan's decision. So.
And then, he said, have you told Nathan? And, she said he freaked out. He goes, been there. Oh my God. And then he says, I'll talk to Nathan. But then he puts his hand, or he wants to put his hand on Haley's shoulder. I'm like, yeah, that's pushing him.
Yeah, and then he even like stroked her cheek like as to wipe away tears or something.
But I mean, it was a little creepy. Well, because they don't have that relationship, so it was weird.
So then Peyton goes to Psycho Derek's hotel room or motel room for the first time. That she's known him. Now she goes to see his room. But she goes onto his laptop to see that picture that he took of her at the game. That's his desktop background image. So that's, red flag number one. And then she opens up his Microsoft program or whatever program that he types on and types Y and it autofills to double Y. Don't know why he would change it to that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did she even know he wasn't in there?
Yeah, because I think the door was open, but yeah, he could have been in the bathroom if there's a bathroom in the back. Yeah. Or like he could come back any minute at least. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, unless you have somebody outside watching to make sure he's not
Hmm.
coming in, and
Yeah.
you've checked it to make sure he left,
Hmm.
it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you just go in there and you never even checked?
Hmm. Yeah, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then she ends up finding the picture of her and Ellie from her jacket on the floor under the bed. And that's when Psycho Derek walks in, standing behind her.
But oh my God, didn't you think it was so creepy though? Like when like the first time you watched it, of all the pictures of her and stuff.
Hmm.
But oh my God, Derek though standing there.
You mean in his room?
Well, went at
That
the end in
room? Yeah,
hers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But when he stands there, it was so creepy. And
Hmm.
he's like, who let you in here?
Yeah.
Peyton.
Hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's giving him a smile to, try to make things remain calm.
But you can tell by her body language and stuff that
Hmm.
she's scared to death.
Yeah.
So he knows that too. It's like she just found something.
Hmm. Yeah, so she explains to him that she's enjoyed having him around, but school's going to keep her busy, so maybe he should go back to St. Flora now.
And then he goes,
And
"It's Lucas, isn't it? He
yeah.
doesn't like me." Well, no crap, he don't like you.
Hmm.
Who does?
Yeah.
And then I didn't like though when he said he's sabotaging our relationship. You don't really have one. Like
Hmm.
not the kind of relationship you want.
Right.
And then it was weird though, because then she said, it's not Lucas, it's my dad, he's back. And I'm like, wouldn't you have said that to begin with?
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
think about it. Your dad is going to protect you. He's the man of the house, right?
Hmm.
Wouldn't you have said that to begin with? Like, school's
Right.
busy. My dad is back now. Like,
Yeah.
I need to spend time with him before I go away to college.
Hmm.
Things that would make sense, not saying it once he brings up Lucas, then you bring up your dad. Wouldn't, again, if
Hmm.
your dad was back and that was your cover up story, you would have said it at the beginning when you were talking about school and stuff.
Yeah, she was just thinking as she went along. That wasn't
I
her
know,
intention to even
but
say.
he knows it's not true because she's keeps making crap up now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, so
also, he
she's,
didn't see, also because he's stalking her house every day, he didn't see
hmm,
the dad show up.
right, yeah. So then, you know, she's gonna walk out, but Psycho Derek's, suddenly says that he's not even her real father. And then knowing that outburst scared her, he tells Payne he's sorry. He just always imagined what it would be like to know her, to really get inside her, which is really
Oh my God,
creepy.
that was creepy.
Hmm.
I like gagged at that. I was like, that is
Hmm.
disgusting.
Yeah. And then he says now he can't, ever imagine not knowing her, not mattering to her. And she's about to step out when he asks her if he matters to her, and she smiles and nods her head and says, yes.
And
And she's
then
at the
he said
doorway.
more than, but then he said more than Lucas, and she goes,
Hmm.
"Goodbye, Derek."
Yeah.
Also,
And then he cries.
also though,
Yeah.
um, Derek. Okay, what does he do for? Oh yeah, he does photography.
Right. Yeah.
He says he does photography. Because I'm just like, what job will let you be away for weeks for you to stalk somebody all day? Like, if
Hmm.
you had a real job, you would be at the job. You wouldn't have time to be stalking her.
Right.
You could stalk her after work, but you wouldn't have time to get all this information before. So that's what was weird. I'm like, wait a minute, what? But I guess if he's a photographer, but he hasn't been doing much work to get paid to pay the hooker and
Hmm.
to pay for his food, and isn't he in a motel?
Yeah.
So that's also a little weird.
Hmm. Yeah. He must do commissions or something.
Yeah, he must
Um.
he must have made a lot of money so he could have these couple months off.
Hmm. Yeah. So then Nathan goes
Oh,
to see his mom.
this broke my heart
Hmm.
because Nathan goes there and tells his mom that he got the Duke. a scholarship, and she's like, "Oh, congratulations!" She seems happy,
Mm-hmm.
and she tells him she's proud of him. And then he says that he has a press conference tonight, and he wants her there, but sober.
Right.
And then all she says is, she'll be there, and he's like, sober and stuff, and she's like, I promise. Like, I'll be there. And it's like, oh God. Like, we already know you're gonna break that promise.
Yeah. Even
Yeah,
she
so
looked
that
like
was
she
sad.
knew. Yeah.
Also, did you notice something?
Hmm.
Nathan didn't say Haley's pregnant to his mom.
Right. Yeah.
Like, think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Haley tells Dan. Nathan doesn't tell Deb. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine if she was watching this, because she was probably
Mm-hmm.
out, so she didn't watch it. But imagine if she was watching this
Mm-hmm.
and the whole world finds out when you find out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wouldn't that hurt you?
Yeah, well, she has to expect that with her relationship with Nathan isn't great, so it's not a surprise that he didn't tell her or
No.
Dan.
Okay, but even if she sobered up and she went to the conference,
Mm-hmm.
she would have found out there he's going to be a dad.
Right.
And then again, she finds out when everyone else does. That's not right.
Well, maybe he didn't make his decision yet when he told his mom about the press conference.
Yeah, but when he goes there and says, like, no mom, no wife, it could have been a perfect time to call your mom and be like, well, I'm about to say something, and this is what I'm going to say. You should hear it first. Even if it's on, like, the voicemail, then you got your everything covered.
Yeah, well, I think he felt like if she couldn't even bother to show up, then she doesn't really deserve to know, so.
Yeah, but he also knows she's going through something. So, and she has an addiction.
Yeah, well, she's pushed her limits already, so maybe he just doesn't really care that much anymore.
I just didn't like it.
Mm.
Because, like, if you're a mom,
Mm-hmm.
it would hurt you.
Yeah, he gave her another choice after she chose the pillows, over him and in his class. And now he gave her this chance to show up for him, and she didn't do that. So he just felt like there's no point in trying with her. So
Yeah, but like when she said, like, I'm proud of you and stuff, like he never said, oh yeah, and by the way. It was just weird.
mm-hmm.
I just didn't like it, that's all.
Yeah. So then Peyton gets to her house where Lucas is, telling her not to be mad at him. But she just runs up to him and hugs him. He acts
Oh my
strong.
God, I love that moment when she just runs up and gives him a big hug.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tells him that he's right.
Yep. And she says how she found the picture of her and Ellie. It was in the motel room. And Lucas immediately asks what's happened. And she says nothing because she lied and said her dad was waiting for her. But she hasn't been able to reach him, of course. And then Lucas tells her she can stay with him. And they start walking to the house for her things. And she tells him she's sorry for doubting him. He says it's okay. But then Derek pulls up, only for saying a second when he sees Lucas and takes off. So he figured that he didn't want to, try to close in on Peyton with him there. And then Nathan is at the river court when Dan pulls up, who says for a second he wasn't sure if he had the right son.
Why would he say that?
Yeah, I don't know, just his usual self being mean. But then he tells Nathan
Or
congratulations.
is it because Lucas is the one that keeps having pregnancy scares?
Yeah, maybe. He then tells Nathan congratulations on going to be a father, and he tells Nathan to give his old man a big hug. So again, like
That was
Haley
weird because they actually did hug.
Yeah, looks supportive. Yeah.
Also, isn't it weird that like Nathan never really questioned how he knew?
Right, yeah.
Because like,
I know.
wouldn't you? Like, how do
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, I just found out today. How do you know I'm going to be a father?
Mhm. Right.
That was weird. I'm like, Nathan, you ain't even asking no questions.
Yeah. So Dan tells him it's a wonderful thing, sort of like getting a full ride from Duke. And Nathan says he knew there was a catch, and Dan says there's no catch. He's thrilled for him and Haley. But then, that's when he goes in and says, how long has he loved Haley? A year. When he's loved the game, most of his life.
But I will say, I do agree with Dan here. And I've said it.
Mhm.
I mean, I never said I agree with Dan, but I agree with this point. And it's the same one Dan's making here of she went on her dream. And this is your dream. And if she loves you at all, she will follow you to your dream and give up her second dream. I 100% agree with that. I've said that.
Yeah.
She already got to do her dream. And you were like, well, you can have more than one dream. But this is his first dream. He didn't even get to live out his first dream. And yet, so I agree with Dan, because this is probably something you would tell your kid. Like, you know, don't make the mistake if they don't love you. So then you're going to be like Dan and be like, I picked the wrong person and I just stuck around and went to their college when I should have went to mine. Like, so I agree with Dan and the whole, if she loves you, she'll give it up and go with you.
Right.
Because I agree. Why should Haley get to go to Stanford when Nathan's dream is Duke and that's his way of getting in that NBA? She gets to live her dream. Again, she can go and be a teacher and get her degree anywhere.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense that she needs to go to Stanford. That was your 8-year-old dream. You can give up your 8-year-old dream for your husband, the man that you claim you love. So I agree with Dan on that.
Right.
Do you?
Yeah.
You think that she should go where he goes?
Yeah, because it's his turn now, yeah. So then he tells Nathan that he played ball and had him so he can do it too. And, the day he signed the national letter of intent was the greatest day of his life. And that could be his, best day too.
But did Dan really? Because didn't Dan get his injury in college and like to act like he was raising a kid while he was playing basketball, like he had to give it up.
Right.
So that kind of, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And then he says, but if he lets Haley take that away from him after he let her go on tour, then she's not the person, either him or he thought she was.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say Nathan let her go. He gave her that ultimatum, but yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. You let her go. It's like, he didn't let her go. He said, bye.
Yeah, and then, made her work to get his trust back too when she came back. So
it was just funny.
He didn't let her off the hook.
You let her go. Yeah, but he's letting her off the hook from here on out. Every little thing Haley does, Nathan falls for. Where most guys would be like, listen. Think about it. Nathan is so sweet to her. Most guys wouldn't. I mean, a lot of them would have something to say, but Nathan's always like, no, she's like a perfect little angel. And it's like, huh? Just like here. It's like he's not really like when she wanted to go to Stanford, remember? It's like, again, he could have said that same thing to her back then when she wanted to go to Stanford. It's like, but this is where I want to go, and you got to go somewhere. Like you got to live out your dream. I want to live out mine. But again, his little perfect angel is like, no, I'll go to Stanford, huh?
Right.
Like that whole thing, like just every little thing Haley does, that's his little angel. Which is fine, but at the same time, it's somewhat annoying because there has to be some conflict, right?
Yeah.
Like that's definitely the TV couple because that's not exactly how it would work out.
Right. So then Dan asks Nathan, if he understands it now that he wasn't a monster back then.
No, he's still a monster.
Dream. Yeah. Chasing a dream his whole life and finally earned it like him. Yep. And then at a club, Rachel walks over with drinks for her and Brooke, who says to Rachel she knows this is odd coming from her, but she doesn't she think it's too early to drink? And Rachel says it's never too early. And then she says she knows how she's been unhappy lately, and she thought happy hour was the way to go. And then, they get to talking, and Brooke says, how do you know this place? And she says she met Cooper there. And Brooke tells her she's sorry. And Rachel says she actually met him online first. And, she posted some pictures and he replied. a lie about her age, some great sex, a stolen limo, a bridge, and a brief hospital stay later. Here they are.
I liked when Brooke said that she couldn't do it, like lie about her age and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then she was like, not to meet a guy. Rachel, you already did.
Yeah.
And he's already here. But
Yeah.
I think that's karma for Brooke. Because she did that same thing to Peyton. Remember when she put her online and had all those guys show up at Nathan and Haley's reception?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, Brooke, it's kind of your own karma.
Yeah, and posted those pictures of her. Yeah.
Yeah. And changed her age. Didn't he? Didn't she change her age too?
I don't remember that. Just the pictures and the.
Well, I think she
matching.
put like she was 18 or something in order for those guys to. Otherwise, that would be child pornography.
Mm-hmm.
If she didn't, so she had to say she was 18.
Yeah.
So
the guys would be interested. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, well, Brooke, like you did it to Peyton once.
Mm-hmm.
So
and multiple guys showed up. Yeah.
Yeah. So here you go. And here it's just one guy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Rachel fills her in, saying that he's a part-time model and she is a 23-year-old.
Okay, he's a part-time model. What's his other part-time job?
Right.
Wouldn't you want to know?
Yeah. Yeah, so she's 23 years old, fashion designer, and her name is Peyton.
And she's like, funny.
Yeah.
But it kind of is.
Yeah. And then, the guy's name is Nick, and Rachel says she'll be leaving.
How did you like when she said use condoms?
Yeah. I mean, obviously that was a given to Brooke, but I think Rachel just, loves to do that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, because to make it awkward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Haley gets home to where Nathan is dressed up for the press conference. He tells Haley that he's going to announce that he's going to Duke, and Haley mentions that she thought they agreed that they made that decision together. And Nathan says plans change. And Haley says, everyone's been congratulating her about the baby and telling her how wonderful it is, except him.
And he says a part of him thinks it's wonderful. And a part of you? Dude, he just found out.
Yeah.
Give him some time.
Yeah, because she had weeks.
She had weeks to find out. And she was scared to death too, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you weren't so scared, you would have told him, right? So that means you were scared.
Now. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So now that you had time to process that you're going to be a mommy, he needs to process it too. He needs 3 weeks too.
Yeah. At least, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she had that long, so he gets that long.
Mm-hmm. And then she wants him to comfort her, saying they're going to face it together and that he's never been so happy and everything's going to be okay.
So if they're going to face everything together, then she needs to face it with him because she had time to process.
Mm-hmm.
So she needs to get over this and actually support him and process. Think about it. He just got accepted a full ride to Duke, his dream school, something he has worked his whole life for. That's the same day she says, you're going to be a daddy. Like, of course, everything's going through his head now. Now you, Haley, got Dan to talk to him and talk him out of it. It's like, Haley, you keep messing with him. It's like, stop. So once again, like, why should he comfort you when you've done all this in one day to him?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Poor teenager. Because think about it. That's what he is.
Yeah. And then, he asks her if she wants to go with him, and she thinks he's talking about Duke. But he says, no, the press conference. And she says she can't do it right now, because she doesn't like how he's reacting to the whole situation.
Benny leaves.
Yep. But he said that his dad said that she would say that. So turning it on her now, like, that's exactly what Dan would do. There's nothing else he would have done. But tell Nathan, like, to keep going after his dream. And then, because then Haley does say it doesn't matter where they go or what dreams they have, because, whatever he wants, she wants that for him. But she just really thought that.
But for Nathan, it does matter where he goes.
Yeah. And then, she really thought the news of his child would affect him more than the news of the scholarship. I
liked when he said, I'm not going to feel guilty about this.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, as he shouldn't feel guilty. He just found out.
Right. And then Peyton walks into Lucas's room with him behind her, and she says, "Is it any wonder she has commitment issues?" Meaning about Psycho Derek. And Lucas agrees that she's the Bermuda Triangle of relationships. And then she has him turn around so she can change. And she's just feeling stupid about letting Derek in, and that how he's still out there. And Lucas says the detectives will find him, and they'll call when they do. Until then, she's safe with him. He promises. And then Payne says that he's always trying to save her, and then tells him he can turn back around. And when he does, he's sees her in her cheerleading outfit, and he asks if this is her way of saying thank you, which I thought that was too soon, Lucas. And then she says a few cheerleaders have to be at the press conference. So this was also a weird requirement that some of them have to be there for the press conference. Just
Not all of them, because his wife is a cheerleader.
Yeah. And apparently Lucas already forgot about the press. I mean, it makes sense why he forgot, but yeah, so he forgot about it because of the whole Derek thing. And, then he says that he's not sure if he wants to go or if they should go because Brooke might be there.
Well, and then thinking about her, right?
Yeah. And then Deb was at home getting ready when she looks at her bottle of pills. Of course. She was going to go, but then she
attempted to get herself ready.
Yep. And then Haley goes over to Karen's, where she hugs her and says, "Welcome to my history."
Well, I did not like that.
Say welcome. Yeah, welcome. It wasn't a great word to say it.
This whole thing wasn't great.
Yeah.
That she just, nobody wants your history, Karen.
Yeah, and we all, we kind of know it already by now.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lucas and Peyton get to the hall when Lucas's phone rings. It's Detective Wilcox who tells Lucas that they picked up Derek and that they need his statement.
And yeah, that's where Peyton, you would think, would have to go down there.
Yeah, at least by that point, yeah. So he tells Peyton he has to go. And she even asks if she should go too, but he says no.
Yeah.
And, to apologize to Nathan for him. And then she tells him to go to her place after he's done at the station. So that was like the smartest thing that she could have done in this moment. Because that paid off later. Or she would have been in a lot more trouble. And then Nathan gets there and sees Rachel.
And of course, she walks right over to him.
Yep. Yep.
And then that's where he was like, that's where she's like, or that's when he said, or that's when she said, you all right and stuff? He's like, no wife, no mom. And then she goes, just lying bitches like me. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah. But then she explains to Nathan that she really wanted to help him, and most of the time that means sex in her world, but that wasn't fair to him and Haley. So at least she knows that. She's aware of that she's being stupid there. And then she mentions all the Cooper stuff's going to take years of therapy, definitely. And then she tells, how's Haley doing? And he says,
that she's scared as he is. And then she goes, she shouldn't be. She's like, unlike the rest of us, this baby's going to have two pretty great parents. And I was like, see, encouraging Rachel. Some odd reason for that. But I like that she said that because, like, looking forward, they are.
Yeah.
And the baby does have two great parents.
Right. It just bothered me because she wasn't this nice to Brooke when she thought, Brooke was pregnant. And she told Brooke she was going to be a horrible mom.
Yeah, but
like her mom.
Yeah, but we all knew Haley had that nurturing side.
Yeah, but still, I didn't like that.
Yeah, but I think Rachel always knew that Haley was like the motherly type that would be a good mom, where Brooke liked to party and drink, and that's not exactly motherly figure. So
well, she hasn't done that recently.
I'm just saying, like, that's who Brooke was, and sometimes it sticks with you, stays with you forever. So even if that's something you did years ago, some people always bring it up. So maybe that, and also Rachel hated Brooke, so that might be why too.
Yeah, but she doesn't seem to really. I mean, a minute ago she's trying to steal Nathan away from Haley. Now she's saying she'll be a good mother, so that's a big turnaround. Quick turnaround.
Well, I think she wanted Nathan. She didn't want the baby. She just wanted Nathan. I think it turned her off when he said that she's pregnant.
Yeah, I'm just saying, before she was trying to do something awful to Haley. Now she's trying to, make.
Well, I think she realized what she did was wrong, and I think she's trying to fix it because she sees how scared to death he is, and so she's like, "How do I make this better for you?" And this is the way to do it.
Right.
I keep telling you, it's gonna be okay.
Mm-hmm. So then Dan gets there and he walks past Whitey. He welcomes everyone, proud to be there as their mayor and as a father. Then he introduces Nathan, a young man who has an enormously bright future. And then Nathan walks to the podium, Dan telling him it's the greatest day of his life. So then Nathan says he called a press conference today to announce where he plans to play basketball for college. And he's had a lot of great offers, but it's always been his dream to play at Duke University. And he does plan to go there. And then he looks over at his dad, and Haley's watching with Karen on the TV.
Yeah.
Nathan
And then
says
he
to his
said
father,
it's not um about the greatest day of his life. It's not because of
mm-hmm,
basketball, that his wife is pregnant, and
mm-hmm,
um basically like if he goes to Duke,
mm-hmm,
they will decide that together.
mm-hmm,
I like
yeah,
all that because it's like finally. Because I
yeah,
mean,
he steps up.
it's hard to say like finally because like you wanted
It's been
Nathan to
two
say it,
hours.
but
Yeah,
because it's only been the same day, so like it's
mm-hmm,
hard
yeah,
because like as us, we're like finally because great, you're finally saying it, but at the same time for him, he just found out a couple hours ago, so it's a
mm-hmm,
little hard because it's like as an audience, we want to be like great, let's move on because now you're gonna be a dad,
mm-hmm,
but in real life, it would be like, wow, that was fast
right,
that you switched.
mm-hmm,
So I guess looking at Dan, he didn't want to be Dan. So he said all the things Haley wanted him to say, which is, we're whatever we face, we're going to face it together, which is what she wanted him to say when he was walking out.
mm-hmm,
Because when in the apartment, he was definitely Dan Jr.
mm-hmm,
But then here he's not. And I think it's because he was looking at Dan like, never mind. I don't want to be like you.
right.
Don't you
And I
think
did
that was
like,
his turn?
yeah, and I did like how he, spoke to Haley directly, from to the camera because he figured that she'd be watching, at least hoping that she would be. Yeah, so he says exactly what she said earlier about him never being happier and it's gonna be okay,
Yeah, all that.
and that he loves her. Yeah,
Yeah. So I
and
liked all that.
everyone claps except Dan, of course.
That was the thing. So, when he says that she's pregnant, Brooks or not Brooke, Peyton's like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
And Rachel's just like nodding. And it's like,
Yeah,
Rachel,
because
how do
she
you
knew. Yeah.
know? But it's like, how
Hmm.
does Peyton not go like, how do you know?
Right.
And then too, like, it was just so funny because like everyone is just cheering for him, happy because, he announced he's gonna be a dad.
Hmm.
And like Whitey's all like probably his number one fan. And then there's Dan. It's like, oh my God. It's just so
Yeah.
funny because it's like, of course, Dan's the unhappy one.
Hmm.
And it's nice to watch Dan be upset
Yeah.
because it's just funny.
Hmm. And then Dan is the last one in the hall, and then goes into his office to find red paint again. That says Genesis 4:10, and then he tells himself it's all in his head. And then Brooke is walking with Mick. She's giving him the tour of Tree Hill, and they're already holding hands. And she tells him that this is the high school where she used to be a cheerleader years ago.
So why are they there?
Just giving the tour, and I guess she somehow could get him in there. Yeah,
But okay, so she got him in there
yeah. Apparently, yeah,
because then he's in his own classroom.
yeah. I don't know, because like she didn't know he was going to teach there, so they had to make sure she wouldn't find out until she walked in the next day. So I don't know how they did that really.
Because it threw me off because I'm like, how
Yeah,
did she get in there? And then um but then they're in his classroom.
yeah. I don't know.
That was odd to me.
Hmm. Yeah, and then of course he says, do you still have your uniform, cheerleader uniform? Because he likes, cheerleaders. Because
Of
she asks
course.
what he was like in high school. Yeah. But then back in Dan's office, Whitey shows up, telling him he, should have been proud of Nathan today for putting his dreams on hold so history wouldn't repeat itself.
Oh my God, but when Dan said he acted like a child, and then Whitey
No,
goes,
yeah,
he goes, no, Danny, he acted
hmm,
like a man. I was like clapping. I was like,
hmm,
thank you, Whitey. Like Whitey always has like the best perspective. And I love it because it's like, no, Dan, wake up. That's you.
Right.
That's the child.
Yeah. So then Whitey sees, just now sees the wall. If it's really big and red, you think you see it when he first walked in. But he told Dan that he didn't know he was religious. So now Dan knows that the paint's actually there and not in his head.
That was funny because he like looks at it like,
Yeah.
that's real. Well, and then did you see Whitey too? He like gave him like a smile, like I know kind of smile, and I was like,
Yeah.
what's this about?
Yeah, so I don't know if they're trying to make it like maybe Whitey's been doing this or what, but
Right, because it was weird. Because I'm like the look he gave, but it wasn't like the look you felt that he was giving of like I know.
Yeah.
It was weird, but it was funny.
And then at the station, the detective tells Lucas that the number he gave them, because there was a number on the card, led them right to Derek. But of course, it's not
the
the
real
Derek that
Derek.
Lucas knows. Yep.
And then it was so funny because Lucas is like, that's not him. And they're like, yeah, it is. And he's like, you have the wrong guy. It's like, no, this is Derek.
Yeah.
Oh, it was funny. So it was funny though, because like when they said that he's free to go, and Lucas was already running outside because obviously he needs to go get Peyton now. And Derek goes outside. They're outside, and Derek's like, I want to talk to you. It was hilarious. I was just cracking up the whole time.
Yeah, but Lucas just ignores him and keeps going.
Yeah, and then Derek gets mad because he's like, we weren't finished. He Peyton gets a phone call from Lucas.
Right. I was just seeing where my notes I put about the other Derek, but I didn't see them. So yeah, she's already at her place when he calls.
She's walking up. Yeah, she's walking up there. And of course, Derek is already there.
Yeah, by the car when she turns around. Yeah.
And of course, she's like, he's like, oh, Derek's out, and everything, telling her everything. And then she goes, yeah, Lucas, like Derek's here. So, and he's like, he's doing is like, no, don't. And it's like, dude, she has to make it look like something.
Right. Oh yeah, because the Derek thing was after the call. That's why. Yeah. So So he knows that something's wrong because she's not listening to him. And then Payne is nervous as she tells Psycho Derek that her dad's home now, but he knows that's not true. So
yeah.
she
How
goes.
did you like when he said that's not true? Like he literally tells her that.
Right. And then she tries to go open her front door but can't, and he says he locked it. So wouldn't she have been the one that locked it though when she left, or is it because she never locked her door before that she just doesn't even lock her when she leaves?
But I feel like ever since she found out that he's psycho, I feel like she's probably been locking her door ever since then.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why he said that, he locked it if it should have been already locked.
I don't know, because I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, because then she was trying to get her keys out, but then that's when he, walks up to her. And then, he's touching her and she gets him good with the pepper spray. But then she drops her bag and, has her phone in it on the ground and then goes inside and closes the door, locks it, and then runs to the landline. But he says, he already cut it.
Well, yeah, because she said that she's calling the cops, and he's like, I don't think so. It's like, Peyton, clearly he was in the house. So, yeah, she must not have locked it. Why wouldn't you lock it if you know he's psycho and he's out there?
Right.
That's dumb.
Yeah, and then with being scared, she left her phone on the porch or the steps. So.
But, yeah, if he went inside, he's obviously going to cut the power and everything else because he wants to get you, clearly.
Yeah. And then he uses his shirt to wrap around his hand so he can break the window and unlock the doorknob to lock it from inside. So like I said, this is why I don't know about the door, because if he was in there, if he locked it, then he could have easily unlocked it like before if she locked it. But anyways, yeah, so she goes up to her room, tries to hide in there.
Again, why would you go upstairs? Again, somewhere that he can push you down.
Yeah, I mean, she got to her room first, but
where are you gonna go?
Yeah, maybe her bedroom door was the only one that had a lock on it too, maybe. So
it was weird because I'm like, what are you gonna do upstairs?
You're
now stuck there.
Yeah, like I said, maybe that was the only room that had a lock in the house, besides for the doors, the front door and the back door, maybe. But yeah. So when she goes into her room now,
That's
she
when she sees
sees.
all the pictures. So he had time to do all of that while she was at the press conference.
Yeah, so she must have had unlocked her door, and then he just walked in like that. Because, like I said, if he would have unlocked it before, then he wouldn't have had to punch the window. So.
But it was just weird because
Hmm.
yeah, but I think yeah, but she locked it when she um got inside. She locked the door.
No, I'm saying the first time. Like he
What do
had
you
to get
mean?
in the house. He had to get in the house to put all those photos up, and then he leaves the house again and locks it behind him, and then she gets home like
She
that.
must
So how did he get in the first time if it was locked? That's what I'm saying. And then he
she
says he
must
locked the door, so she must have had it unlocked when she left.
have had a yeah, she must have
Yeah,
it had unlocked. And then
right.
he locked it and then
Yeah, when he left. Yeah,
yeah, again,
yeah.
stupid on Peyton for
Hmm.
not locking the door.
Yeah, and I wonder how long the press conference was, because it would have took him a long time to put all those pictures up too.
I feel like it wasn't that long.
Yeah, and there's like some.
It was enough time for Lucas
Hmm.
to go to the police station, find out it's not Derek and leave. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that's not that long.
like 5 minutes. Yeah, because he had pictures on just on our walls. It was like every surface that you could put something on. Put them on. Even her bed, like had them kind of laying there. But yeah, so they were just everywhere.
Yeah, and the table and
Hmm.
everywhere. And
Yeah.
that's what it was so creepy.
Hmm.
Wasn't it creepy like the first time to watch it?
Yeah. And then she tries opening her window, but there's like no tree or anything. So I think, do you think she would have chanced like going out the window to get away from him, even though she might have hurt herself?
Yeah, I think that's what was her plan was
Yeah.
to jump or something.
Yeah, but he probably locked that too, like glued it shut or something.
Well, I think too, when you're in a panic mode,
Hmm.
you're going to slip. Like you're not gonna.
Hmm.
Sometimes you're gonna struggle because you're so freaked out
Yeah.
that you're not in the right mindset to like open the
Yeah.
window or open the
Yeah.
door because
Flight mode.
yeah, you're not with it. So I think
Hmm.
maybe that's why she couldn't get open up because she's like, oh my god, I gotta. But it's like you,
Yeah.
if you just calm down, which you can't because you're in that
Mhm.
state of mind. I think that's what it was. I don't really think he did anything to the window. I think she just was maybe freaked out
Well,
because
he could
that
have.
would be a lot, though. That would be a lot for him to do all of that and do the window while
Yeah.
she's
Well,
gone.
yeah. I feel like if he had enough time to do the pictures, then he could have easily glued the door shut or something and cut the landline, all that. So.
Yeah, but he did a lot for the whole time that she was
Hmm.
gone. That was a
I
short
mean,
period of time.
she was at Lucas's before that too, so maybe he had a little bit more time, but yeah, but barely.
Yeah, but
Um.
he didn't know if she was coming home or not.
Right. Yeah.
That
He
was
was
the
just
other thing.
waiting. Yeah. And then suddenly he stops banging on the door and it's all quiet. And then this is what I didn't get either. If he's supposed to be at her house in the hallway outside the door, how did he send the IM messages from his fake, his stalker one, watch me, watch you, and the fake Lucas one back and forth like that? It doesn't make sense either.
He had two different accounts.
I know, but how did he do it when he was out in the hallway? He didn't have a computer on him.
His
And
phone.
you couldn't do that on your phone back then, as far as I know.
I don't know. He had some kind of technology.
Because I couldn't IM, I IM'd on my iPod Touch like back in 2010, 2011. So this was 2006. So I'm pretty sure they didn't have IM back then on your cell phone. And then even if he had a laptop with him, he would have had to sign in and out of those two accounts back and forth to keep IMing her like that. So that didn't make sense either. And then to be more specific and realistic, if he was IMing her from two different accounts, it would have been in two different windows, not the same little message window like that. But yeah, so it was just saying over and over again, open the door, Peyton. So
Okay, so when he breaks in, basically,
yeah,
um, and then like he turns around.
yeah, they did
That's
that
where she
purposely.
finally gets to see. She finally gets to see the ugly tattoo, and I say ugly
Hmm.
because it's on him,
Yeah,
and it's gross.
yeah, that's her. Yeah,
I mean, it's his full back. Ugh.
Yeah. And he tells her not to cry because he's there now, like being creepy again, like trying to console her or whatever.
And they
And then
fight and
and
tackle
then
and all that.
and then he has a taser all of a sudden. Where did that come from?
I know, because wouldn't he have done that at the door
Yeah,
to get
to
her
knock her out.
in?
Yeah. So I'm like, this doesn't make sense for so many reasons. But yeah, then Lucas appears, tackling Psycho Derek, thank goodness, from behind, pinning him down,
You mean thank
punching him.
goodness, because then he gets tased.
Well, at least, it's not just pain alone anymore.
Oh my god. And then Peyton like smacks him with the lamp or something to get off Lucas.
Yeah, because he tastes him in the freaking neck. Yeah.
Oh my god. I know. To make him like out. Lucas
hmm
is just lying there on the ground.
Yeah. So good thing she had that lamp right there. Surprised they didn't cover that with pictures. But then he ends up grabbing her, in the hallway because she takes off, grabs her by the ankle and drags her back into the room.
Yeah. And then he headbutts her.
Yeah, onto the bed. That had her hurt. Yeah.
Oh my god. I know.
hmm
I was like, Lucas just got tased. Peyton just got headbutted.
hmm
But then the real Derek comes in.
Oh, she did bite his thumb too right before that. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the real Derek comes in. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and Psycho Derek is like, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm her brother," calling him a bitch too, and then starts being him. But then Psycho
Oh,
Derek beats him up pretty well,
I know. I don't
which
understand
when you
how
learn later, it
Derek.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't understand how Derek can beat up, or Psycho Derek
Too.
can beat up
Yeah.
all three of them.
Yeah.
Also too, like, Derek and Lucas didn't have time to talk because Lucas ran away.
hmm
How does he know to follow Lucas to go protect Peyton?
Well, just because he knows who Peyton is, so that was just the only thing. So, and he could
But
see
Lucas like ran. It was just weird because it'd be like a question of like, why are you running off? And then like, why are you running in her house? Like, it was weird to me, like why Derek would involve himself when he doesn't even
yeah.
know the situation.
Maybe the detective told him when they were gonna let him go. Then no, technically that would be
No, he
against.
got up and left and like kind of pushed the detective or the cops off him and left. Derek wasn't listening to anything. He just got when they said he's free to go, he got up and left. He wasn't hearing
Oh,
anything.
maybe when Lewis. I mean, not. Oh my goodness,
Wow.
Lucas. I was trying to think. I got a little ahead of myself. When Lucas was gonna because he ran off and said Peyton. Maybe Derek heard him say Peyton, so he knew something was going on with Peyton. And then he knows that they were looking for a different guy, so then he kind of put those pieces together on his own, maybe.
But but I just don't because we know Derek didn't really want to ever meet Peyton, so it's just weird that he would involve himself when he doesn't know that he is trying to go after her, like trying to kill her right now.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think
It just
it was
didn't
a
make sense for
mistake.
like
Yeah.
it didn't make sense for like Derek, who doesn't know anything about Peyton, to just be
hmm
like, I'm gonna go break in her house with Lucas and save her. Like,
hmm
unless he sat there and like knew the whole thing, but
hmm
he doesn't because Lucas takes off and doesn't talk to him. So it's weird that he would follow him all the way in the house, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, he probably saw them from the window outside or heard,
No, because
a
she
lot
was
of
already on
noise.
the ground and stuff. They weren't by the window.
Well, maybe there was a lot of noise that he could hear, and then the door
But
was open and like broken into, so
and
that's
I
probably
just
why he
don't
went out.
I just don't buy the real Derek like involving himself too much of like unless he knew the information. But okay, but I did like that he was in there because
Yeah.
Lucas was out and Peyton was scared to death and kind of out. So think about those two would be dead if it wasn't for Derek, the real Derek.
hmm Yeah. And then maybe because we know too that he's in the military, it was like an instinct to like help when he saw, like I said, the door was broken into. So even if that wasn't his sister, he probably still would have gone in. So
I know, but it's just hard because like right now we're not supposed to know that, so it's just kind of
Mhm.
like weird.
Yeah. So then, he charges Psycho Derek with Lucas, and that they push him through the window. He lands on the ground. They
It was
think that he's
so
dead or knocked
good.
out. Yeah.
That whole thing was so good.
hmm And then, they're just standing there looking at him, and then that's when Payne asks, who Derek
Who are
is.
you? And he goes, I
Yeah.
guess I'm your brother.
Yeah, which is exactly what Psycho Derek said too. So that was weird, but full circle.
Yeah, but he said it nicely.
Yeah. And then Dan is, back to see what Genesis, what it means. And he looks it up, it says, and he said, "What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground." And then Brooke is making out with Nick inside the school. And then he asks if she's sure she wants to sleep with him because he says a few emails. So Rachel was talking to the guy. They don't even know each other. And Brooke says, for them, it's just fun. And they continue kissing. And then Nathan ends up putting a blanket over Deb, who's passed out from drinking and didn't make it to the press conference.
So Nathan didn't go home right away,
Nope.
even though he said that nice speech
Mm-hmm.
where you would think he was going to go home right away. No, he goes to his mom's who didn't even show up.
Yeah, and I guess he wanted to checking on her to see what happened. Yeah.
So he does care about Grandma Deb.
Mm-hmm. He just wants her to be sober before she has any involvement with the baby. So that was probably her first test.
It's gonna be 7-8 months from now.
Yeah. And then
but not really in Tree Hill timeline.
Right.
Because it's already March or something.
Yeah. And then Brooke tells that Nick that she has to go and he can find his way out. So
yeah, he can find his whole way out because he works there.
Yeah. But since she doesn't know that, you would think that since it's her school or used to be her school, that she would show him out herself. So, she knows that he's not there. And in case if he gets caught, for trespassing or something,
I don't think she can. But he doesn't know her real name. So it's not like she'd get caught if he got caught.
No, I'm saying she wouldn't think about him getting caught instead of just like,
I don't think she's thinking about him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like Brooke was just doing this for like a one night stand sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't meaning to see him ever again. That's why when he said, "Can I have your number?" she said
Mm-hmm.
no, because
Yeah.
like that's it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I think she doesn't care if he gets caught.
Right. So then Nathan gets home and he tells Haley that he thought it was a miracle that he survived the accident, and he never felt worthy of it. But now he knows it wasn't for him; it was for all of them.
It was for the three of them. Oh my god, it was so cute.
Right. And then
then at school,
yep.
who was it? Principal Turner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he was like, what are you doing here? It was kind of weird because like at first it kind of like seemed like he didn't know Nick.
Yeah.
Like by the way he was acting, but then when he gets closer, that's when he's like, like, oh, like Nick. And it's like, what? You couldn't see him from where you were standing?
Right.
It was kind of weird because then, Nick's like that he's just preparing himself for his first day. I'm like, okay, odd.
And then Turner still looks angry, but then smiles and says he's going to be a great teacher. He has a feeling the students are going to love him.
One already does.
Yeah. And then the police now show up at Peyton's. And Peyton, goes to point where Psycho Derek is. But then,
oh my God. It was so... Okay. How is it? The three of them, there's three of them there. How is it? And Derek's in the military or was in the military.
No, I think he still is. Yeah.
How is it not one of them? Watch the body.
Yeah. Because you think Derek would know, like, oh, just because he's not moving doesn't mean he's dead,
I know. You're
like,
in the military.
Yeah, they didn't check the pulse.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it maybe Derek doesn't, or maybe the real Derek doesn't want to touch him because you don't want your fingerprint on it. Well, even though their fingerprint is on him for pushing him.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just weird that you're not even going to watch the body.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one of them should have walked down. One of the guys should have walked down outside while the other two stood upstairs to make sure his body was still there. And then the other two could have joined because he's watching outside. Why would the three of them just leave his body? I don't understand this. Also, what else do you have to do besides watch the body? It's not like you're watching TV.
Right, unless they right away went downstairs, and then that's when the police showed up, and then that's when Psycho Derek took off. But no, that wouldn't be nobody.
No, he was
Somebody would have
gone.
saw him. Yeah, somebody would have saw him. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess they could have even watched from the window upstairs, but yeah, I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they could have watched from upstairs where they were, and then when the police arrived, then they could have went downstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, the cops can see in the window because the window's gone that there's three of them standing there. So it was odd to me that, I mean, again, what are you doing inside that you're not watching the body?
Right.
It's weird. And again, Derek being in the military, what? You're really gonna just let him go?
Right.
That was really stupid on all three of their parts.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'd be watching him like a hawk.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I'd want to make sure he was dead.
Yeah.
Secondly, you know, even if I got to throw a couple bricks on him. Secondly, well, he has a taser. Freaking tase him some more.
Yeah, they would have to get close to him. Maybe they didn't want to do that.
There's
I forgot
three
about the
of them.
taser. Yeah.
That's why I said throw a couple of bricks on him and then tase him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It was just stupid to me that you have two guys there and they're gonna just let him go.
Right. And you think too with Lucas being tased in the neck, he'd be kind of out at that point, like he wouldn't be able to fight anymore. So I was surprised he got back up so quickly too. So
Yeah, I don't know how long you're supposed to be out when you're tased, but
yeah, I feel like that would have done something to his neck or his throat or something.
or his heart.
Yeah.
His
Oh
heart
yeah.
condition.
Yep, that could have easily zapped his heart. Yep.
Because think about it. You would think getting zapped in the neck, it would affect your heart because it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Yeah, so he definitely should have gone up.
So, I mean, obviously, and also, okay, can you imagine getting thrown out of a window from the second story and then you getting up and just walking free?
No.
Like, how does that happen?
Even if he got up, he shouldn't have been able to move that fast. So
he'd be limping, and then they'd be like, "Oh, he's limping,"
or
right there'd
there,
be blood, or there'd be blood for the police to be like
tracking.
to track where the blood's going. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Like in real life, like that would happen. I don't know how he could just get up, fine, and walk away.
Right.
And again, no neighbors heard this, saw this, and saw him wander away.
Right.
That's weird. Just think about if your neighbor had somebody thrown out of a window, you're probably going to be watching outside or, watching through your own window watching.
Right.
It's just weird that nobody is around there.
Yeah.
I don't know. And you have to think too, it's a quiet street. So if one house has all the ruckus, I feel like everybody would be watching the one house.
Right.
Even too that Peyton's dad doesn't stay there and she's alone. You would think that the neighbors would be keeping an eye on her.
Right.
So, yeah, that's just kind of weird too. But yeah, I just don't get how he can just get up and wander away. Do you?
No.
Yeah, kind of weird, but okay. But I know for story purpose, we got to keep it going.
Yep.
Not that I want it to, but we have to. So for me, the high was Derek and Lucas fighting Psycho Derek and pushing him through the window.
Yeah.
That was like the best moment. I was like clapping, even though of course he escapes, but it was a great moment. Because I like to like sit back and go, that's Peyton's future husband and brother teaming up together.
Yeah.
As family. It's so cute.
Yeah.
And also what a way to like meet your brother, like he's your hero from the start.
Right.
Also, too, the low for me though was kind of the way Nathan was acting, but I get it, but I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Also Dan, of course, getting in his head, and then Deb not even showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like she was halfway there, like as in she was getting ready.
Right.
All she had to do was take the pills when she got home.
Mm-hmm.
She couldn't wait a couple hours. Clearly not. Also, I didn't like Haley kind of pushing Nathan. Like, I need to know what your thoughts are right this second. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then when he would say how he was feeling, she didn't like the answers. Well, then
Yeah,
don't
because
ask,
he wasn't thrilled. Yeah.
and don't ask any more questions. Then,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't really like that either. Also, Rachel wanting to sleep with him again,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I also didn't like Rachel hooking up Brooke because she didn't want, Brooke wasn't interested, but then all of a sudden she
Mm-hmm.
was. Kind of weird too.
Yeah.
Oh, there was that flip.
Yeah, a lot of lows there listed.
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, my high was I mean, Derek and Lucas were good too, but I liked how Nathan finally did make his decision, even though it looked like he was going to make the other one, like a Dan decision until the last second. And then the low was just everything with Payne and Psycho Derek. Yeah.
And then what would you rate it?
Like a 9, because it's probably one of the more entertaining ones, even though it's really bad
Of season 4?
storyline. No, just a horrible storyline.
No, I
And I'm
mean
probably
like
should
one
go
of the
through.
most entertaining ones of
Oh,
season 4.
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Derek, like the Psycho Derek. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I don't like him at all.
Yeah. So then worst and best.
Um, so I would love to say that Lucas is the best, but Lucas would be still tased to death if Derek didn't come in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm gonna go with Derek, the real Derek.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Um, and then uh, I'm gonna say that the worst is Psycho Derek.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah, the worst is Psycho Derek for me too, and the best is Lucas, just because he was the only one that was like, looking out for Peyton, because everybody else is kind of doing their own thing, and her, Peyton's dad isn't even around either to check up on her, so she had really nobody else but Lucas this whole time until the very end when Derek shows up. But yeah, so.
Okay, so once the police come to your house, find out your dad isn't home.
Mm-hmm. That would be CPS. Yep,
Mhm.
calling. Mm-hmm.
And then the police or somebody would eventually have to get in touch with your father. And when he
Mm-hmm.
finds out that you were attacked,
Yeah, then he would stay home full time.
I can't imagine a good father,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
being like, that's okay. I'll still stay at sea.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even, I'm not even going to say that's a Dan move
Mm-hmm.
because I still feel like Dan would be there.
Yeah.
So I'm not even going to say that's a Dan move. That's just a
Right.
terrible father. That's like
Yeah,
the
because
worst father on the planet.
like even if he couldn't get to pay him by phone, he could try by email or something else. So he'd be somewhat in the loop somewhere. So.
But again, once the police find out that he's not there,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get a hold of him. And once they do, just as a parent to not be
Mm-hmm.
there till your daughter graduates and leaves
Right.
is a terrible parent.
Mm-hmm.
She was attacked and could have died. If it wasn't for Lucas
Mm-hmm.
and Derek,
Yeah.
she would be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be all your fault because you weren't home.
Yep.
And again, what happened to season 1 when he said, I'm going to give up the sea job and stay home?
Mm-hmm.
What happened to that?
Yeah.
That was
Do
4
short
seasons
trips.
ago that he yapped about
Yes.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're into season 4. Your butt should have been home 4 seasons ago.
Yep.
That was stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that was bad writing, don't you?
Yeah, and the second he would get back, he'd probably be arrested if it was realistic for having her stay there alone.
I mean, unless she's 18.
Yeah.
Which I guess she could be. Because if this is like March, a lot of kids are already 18.
Maybe, yeah, it
And
depends.
turning 18.
I mean, we didn't turn 18 till late in the year, but yeah.
What?
We, like, our birthdays, if, we were, because, high school, if, we were them, we would have still been 17 at this point. Because our birthdays are later in the year.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have been the babies of the group.
Yeah.
But Lucas is not the baby of the group.
Right.
And I think like Nathan's more the baby of the group. And and we know Brooke's 18, but Peyton might be 18 too. Maybe that's why they're not pressing charges.
Yeah.
Because she's 18, maybe. Maybe that's how they're getting away with it, by saying she's 18. We just will never see her birthday. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the next episode?
Episode 6, Where Did You Sleep Last Night?
Ooh. Juicy.
Yes. Yeah, Peyton, probably.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.